Hi guys, this is Ashley back with Loomfinity, and I'm here today to show you how to make Cosmo from the Fairly Odd Parents. And in order to create him, you're going to need about 65 clear bands for his wings. I'm actually going to be using the Rainbow Loom clear glitter bands for the tutorial, but if you don't have those, you can use any type of clear band for the wings. And you'll need about 55 black bands for his pants and his shirt and the stem of his wand, 28 green bands for his hair, 40 white bands, and 36 skin bands. You'll also need about 12 gold bands for his wand and for his crown. And then I'm also using 2 white pony beads to create the eyes. So if you want to grab your supplies, we'll go ahead and get started. The first thing I'm going to show you how to create is his wing, and I've already made one, so I'm going to show you how to make one and then just pause the video and create a second one. You're going to start at the top of the loom on the center first peg with a single clear band, and we're going to single double, coming down once. Then taking double bands, I'm going from the second center peg out at a long angle to the third left peg, and I'm going to repeat that going out to the right as well. I'm then going to come down the left side of the loom twice with 2 clear bands, and I'm going to repeat that as well on the right. Taking 2 more bands, I'm going from this right 5th peg to the center 6th peg at an angle from here to here, and I'm going to do that again going from the left 5th to center 6th peg. I'm then going to fill in my center with 2 clear bands coming from that second center pin straight down. And we're going to cap this off, creating 3 loops. So 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm going to take a single band, coming down to the 3rd peg. I'm going to single double, and I'm going to create a triangle from the 3rd right to the 3rd center and the 3rd left pin. And we're going to do that again, taking a single, double it, doing that for the 4th pins, and again for the 5th pins, single, double, and coming across. Once we've done that, we can go ahead and begin looping. So you're going to go in through the capping band, grabbing the first 2 bands. Mine are going forward. I'm going to go back in, grabbing my next 2 and bringing those up to the left. Going back in, grabbing the next 2 and bringing them up to the right. I'm going to go ahead and loom up the outside. Stopping on the 2nd pin. Going back down, I'm going to loom up the left. And then go ahead and bring up the center. I'm going to go through here, grabbing the bottom 2 bands and bringing those up. And then I'm going to grab a holding hook. And these bands, these glitter bands are extremely tight, so they tend to pop the pegs right off my base. And I'm going to set this aside for later. So go ahead and pause the video, make a second wing, and we can continue on. The next thing we will be creating is his arm. I've already created one, so I'll show you how to make one, and then if you need to, pause the video to make a second one. We'll be using white bands to start. So you're going to come down the left side of your loom with 2 white bands 4 times. This is 2, 3, Coming down one more time with 2 skin tone colored bands. I'm then going to cap this off, creating 3 loops. So 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to go ahead and loop up. Grab my holding hook and set that aside for later. So go ahead and pause the video, make a second arm, and we can continue on. The next thing we're going to go ahead and create is the wand, and we're going to start at the top of the loom with black bands. You're taking a single black band on the center first peg. I'm going to single double. And I'm going to come down 4 times total with single double black bands. So that's 1. This is 2. 3. And 4. I'm then going to take 2 black bands and do what I call a double double. So go ahead and take both blacks and double them over, coming down once. We are then going to take our gold, and for the purpose of the tutorial, instead of using the standard gold, I'm actually using Rainbow Loom's glitter gold. If you don't have these, you can always use just these. I use the regular gold bands from Rainbow Loom. So I'm going to take a single gold band, and from this end here, the 6th pin down, I'm going to come up to an angle to the 5th pin on the right with a single gold. I'm going to do that again from the 6th center pin coming out to the 6th pin on the right. Taking a single from the 6th center pin to the 7th center pin. Another single from the 6th center pin to the 6th pin on the left, and one more from the 6th center pin to the 5th pin on the left. I'm then going to cap each one of these off, creating 4 loops. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to do this center pin as well. And on the right. Once we have our capping bands in place, we can go ahead and begin looping. So I'm going to start here on the left 5th pin. I'm going to go through my capping band, grabbing my single, and bringing it over to the center pin, the 6th pin. I'm going to do that again for this one here, bringing it into the center for the bottom and on the right. Once we've brought them all over, we're going to go through all of the gold bands. I'm going to go down, grabbing only my bottom black bands. And I'm going to go ahead and bring those up. And then just go ahead and loop all the way up the center row. Once you're at the very top, you can go ahead and create a slip knot by grabbing the bottom 2 bands and bringing them up and over, and then pull this loose and tighten it up. I'm then going to stick my hook in, and we're going to remove this from the loom. You might need to use and then just go ahead and separate them out a little bit to create the wand. These glitter bands don't stay in place as well. They're a little more, I guess, lazy, you could say. Okay, and you're just going to set that aside for later. The next piece that we're going to create is the main portion of the body. So to do that, we're going to start at the top of the loom, and we're creating the body before the head. So you're going to start on your center pin. You're going to grab 3 skin tone colored bands for the neck, and we're coming from the first to the second pin, coming down once. Then switching over to the white, taking 2 white bands, and I'll be using double bands throughout the body unless I specify otherwise, just in case I forget to say it as I'm going, but 2 white bands going from the center second to the left second pin. And I'm going to repeat that going to the right as well. I'm then going to come down the left side of the body 3 times with 2 white bands. I'm going to do that again on the right. We're then going to come from the center second pin down twice with 2 black bands. And switching back to white, I'm going to come down the center 2 more times with 2 white bands. And then we're just going to switch back to the black. Coming down the left hand side 2 times with 2 black bands. And then going to go from this outside peg and bring it into the center to close off the base of the body. I want to do that again on the left. And then I'm going to fill in these last 2 sections with double black bands in the center. Then we're going to create the legs, and you want to come from the left down once with 3 black bands, coming down again with 2 black bands. The next one, you're going to take a single black, we're going to double it, creating a single double, coming down to the next peg with 2 black bands, and then coming down one more time on the left with 3 black bands. And we're going to repeat that same process on this side. So coming down for the first part of the leg with 3 black bands, coming down one more time with 2 black bands, then taking a single black, we're going to double it and come down once, coming down with 2 more black bands, and coming down one more time with 3 black bands. And we're going to cap off these 2 bottoms, creating 4 loops. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to do that again on this side. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I lost that one. We also want to cap off the center where we ended off the body, and we're going to do that creating 3 loops. So 1, 2, and 3. We're going to go back up here and go ahead and attach the arms. So you're going to just place one arm on each shoulder peg, which is on the second peg down. And we also need to attach the wings before we loop. And what we're going to do is attach them to the peg. And in order to do that, we actually need to move off a side band during the attachment. We're going to go up here. We're actually going to be attaching to the 4th peg down right here. So what I want to do is actually lift these 2 bands off their pegs temporarily. So I'm just going to pull this off and drop it there and pull this one off. And then just take your wing and you're going to attach them to the fourth peg down. And you just want one sticking out on each side. I'm just going to attach it this way and turn it. Just like that. Then you're going to take your two white bands you dropped and pull them over top of the wing and replace them on their peg. I'm going to do that over here as well. Just like that. And your wings are in place. And then we just need to go back and place some of our crossover bands. So coming down to the bottom of the body, we capped it off here. So taking a single black on these two pegs, 7th peg down, and we're going to create a triangle. I'm going to come up with another single black right above it, creating another triangle, taking another single black to the next one above it, going forward, coming up one more, we're going to do a single white, creating a triangle, and we're going to go to the pegs right below the arms with a single white, creating another triangle. And once everything is in place for the body, we can go ahead and begin looping. So we're going to go down to the bottom through the base of the feet, grabbing our bands, and remember there's 3 bands here, so you might want to hold your capping band in place so it doesn't pop off the peg. And we're going to bring those forward. And I'm going to go ahead and just loop up the right hand side. And I'm going to stop at the top of the leg. Going back down on the left, I'm going to do the same thing, grabbing all 3 bands and looping up the left. Now I'm going to go through the center capping band, grabbing the first 2 bands and bringing those forward. Going back in, grabbing the next 2, bringing them to the left, and grabbing my next 2 and bringing them to the right. I'm then going to go ahead and loop up the right side of the body, so going through all the bands, grabbing my bottom 2 and bringing those forward. When you get up near the wings, be careful as you hook because you could possibly pull a glitter band and it'll get stuck up in the back of your body, and you don't want that to happen. So just be careful, especially on this 3rd peg. This is where, when I was creating him, I kept grabbing wing bands and it was a kabobbled mess. So the easiest I found is just to kind of take your finger in here and push the bands back so that you're only grabbing your white bands. And I'm going to stop on that 2nd center pin, going back down and doing this again on the left. And now I can go back down here and loop up the center. When you get to the pin that has the wings, make sure you're going through all of the glitter so you don't drop any of your wing bands when you loop up. It will be pretty tight, so just pull gently so you don't snap any of those black bands. And once I've gotten here, I'm going to go through grabbing only the bottom 3 skin tone bands, bringing those up. And I'm going to go ahead and loosen him up. We don't want to remove him completely to the top because otherwise we'll drop our neck bands. My pins keep popping off the base, which tells me it might be time to order a new loom. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and take my holding hook through the neck bands and pull this off so that we can attach him to his head. But this is what his body looks like. Now we're going to go ahead and we want to create the head. So in order to do that, we're going to start on the top center of the loom with green bands. And I am just using the regular Rainbow Loom green. And you're going to take 2 bands going from the center pin out to the left. I'm going to repeat that going out and to the right. I'm then going to come down 1 time with 2 bands on the left, 1 time in the center, and 1 time on the right. Then switching to skin tone color bands, I'm coming down twice on the left with 2 skin tone bands. And twice on the right. Then going from that 4th right peg, I'm coming into the center 5th to create the chin. And I'm going to do that again on the left. And I'm going to go ahead and fill in the center pins with double skin bands. Now we want to go ahead and place the eyes, and again I'm using white pony beads in order to create the eyes. So I'm just going to take my 2 beads and a single skin tone colored band, pinch that through the center, doesn't want to go in tonight, and I'm going to place this on the 2nd pin down, straight across. I'm going to separate the eyes, grabbing my bands and bringing it down over the 3rd pin there in the center. I also need to create the ears, and to do that I'm going to take a single skin tone on my hook and create 4 loops. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to do that one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then taking a single skin tone band, I'm going to double it, and I'm going to feed these in place onto that band. I am then going to place this on the 2nd pin down, the same pin that I put the eyes. Just like that. We're going to do that again, taking a single skin, creating 4 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4. Doing that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Taking another single, I'm going to double it. And reclaim the other side, and this one will go on the 2nd pin down on the left. I'm also going to place some crossover bands, so taking a single skin tone band on the 4th pegs down, creating my triangle. I'm going to do that again for the 3rd. Then I also want to take a single green on that 2nd pin and create a triangle. Just like that. We are then going to want to attach the crown, so we're going to create that just down here on the loom because you don't need much space. And I am using some of these Rainbow Loom, I believe these are the, unfortunately I took them out of the package, so I'm not on my game on this one, but I think that these are the Sweets collection. They kind of had a gold hue, so I decided to use these for the crown. So to do this, I'm just going to go down here to the third pin from the bottom. I'm going to take a single band, and if you don't have these, you can always just use regular gold. If you don't have any type of gold or glitter, just yellow will work fine too. So the third pin from the bottom in the center, taking a single, I'm going to double it and come down once. I'm then going to take a single band coming from that second from the bottom pin out at an angle to the second pin from the bottom on the left. I'm going to do the same thing going out to this very bottom pin in the center, and I'm going to do that again going to that second to the bottom pin out to the second bottom on the right. And I'm then going to cap off each one at the top, creating 4 loops. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to do that on the center pin. 1, 2, 3, 4, and on the right. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we can then go ahead and loop. So going through each of my capping bands, I'm going to bring my single band over to the center. Going through all of my bands, grabbing my single double and bringing it up. I'm then going to pop this off, so I'll go ahead and remove these corners first. And we are going to place this on the top peg, very first peg on the left. And you can just kind of give it an angle, just like that. We also want to create our hair extension, and we'll be using green for that, which gives him his little, he has a wisp of hair that kind of comes off the front. So I know it kind of looks like a hat, but it's not meant to be a hat. It's actually part of his hair. So you're going to take double green bands, and I'm going to use the bottom down here again. I want to go from the third pin from the bottom on the left. I'm coming down once with 2 green bands. I'm going to do that as well on the right side. I then want to take 2 green bands from the third center peg, coming down once. I'm going to do that again. So you have 2 sets here in the middle. Taking 2 more bands, I'm going from the right second from the bottom pin to the center bottom pin at an angle. And I'm going to do that again going to the left. And I'm going to cap this off, creating 4 loops. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I want to take a single band on the second from the bottom pin here, creating a crossover band. We're going to single double. And we can loop this up. So I'm going to go through the capping band, grabbing 2 bands and bringing them over to the left, grabbing my next 2 going to the right, and my center one going straight up. I'm just going to go ahead and loop these up. And we're going to grab a holding hook and just set that aside for a moment. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab my body, and I'm going to place this as the capping band at the bottom of the chin. And you can go ahead and pull his body down some if you need to. I just placed some of the bands over that next peg just to hold him down and out of the way while we loop. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go through the neck bands. I'm going to grab my first 2 bands, bringing those up. I'm going to go back in, grabbing the next two. Mine go to the left, and my next two are going to the right. I now know that my body and my neck are attached, so I don't have to worry so much about him popping off. And I'm going to go ahead and just loop up the skin tone colored bands for now. So I want to go in on the right, grabbing these and bringing them up, grabbing the next two and bringing them up. And we're going to stop there, so you're stopping at the ears. I'm going to do that on the left and in the center. Now we want to go ahead and just push all of this down. And I forgot to... You want to take this band, the center band, back off temporarily. Just hold on to it with your finger. This green crossover band actually needs to be pulled up and over in the center right there. Otherwise it's going to end up covering the eyes. And then replace that. So push all of these down on these second top pins and grab the attachment that we created. Now at the top you have 3 sets of 4. The first 4 will go on my first pin on the right. The next 4 goes on the center second pin, and the next 4 will go on the left second pin. And if you hear me yawning, I do apologize, but I was working all day, so I wanted to try and get some tutorials up for you guys, so I'm going to try and stay up a little late after work to try and get a little bit more of them out. So if you ever hear me yawning in the background, it's probably because I'm tired. So anyways, I'm going to take these 4 and place them on this peg. And the next 4 will go on the center peg. And just carefully maneuver because they do tend to pop off kind of easy. There's a lot of bands on these pegs that we're working with right here. And then the last 4 will go on the left peg. Just like that. Now we can go ahead and loop up the rest. So I'm going to go in on the right, making sure I'm going through all of my green bands. I'm going through all of these ear bands. I only want those bottom 2 green bands. I'm going to bring that up all the way to the top. I want to do that on the left, making sure to go through all the bands. And now going through the center and bringing that up. I'm then going to grab a single green band going through the top. I'm going to go ahead and feed this through, creating a slip knot. Now he's ready to come off the loom. So I'm going to loosen him up down here. So we want to go ahead and push his eyes through, straighten his arms out and his legs. His feet are actually part of his legs, so all you're going to do is flip him over and find this single double band right here and stick a hook through the middle. And you're going to pull towards the back, which will actually make it create the foot like this. And we're going to do that here on this one as well to create his feet. Now on my the one that I created for the tutorial, I just used black Sharpie to draw on his eyes. But my oldest daughter has a multitude of colored Sharpies, so I went in her room and borrowed one. Because Cosmo actually has green eyes that matches his hair. So I got this one. So if you have multicolored Sharpies, they could come in handy for some characters out there. So I'm going to use this to create his eyes. And I kind of like this Sharpie with a fine point, so she may not get it back. just like that. I think he looks cute with green eyes. Okay, and then you want to take his wand, which it has a little tail on it. You can just leave that free hanging. If you don't like it, just stick a hook through the middle, grabbing those bottom bands, and feed it, you know, kind of feed it up into the handle itself. But all I did with that was I took the hand right through this capping band, and I'm going to grab the bottom of the wand, stick my hook through there, and just pull this into those bands. Oops, I missed. Just like that. And that is how you create Cosmo. Oh, you can also hide this. So you just flip him over and tie this into the back of his hat. But there he is. That's how you create Cosmo. I will also be working on other characters from the Fairly Odd Parents. So he's a new series that I've decided to work on. If you are following any of my other series, I promise, I am working on Happy. But he is a little bit, I don't know if you've noticed, but he is a fatter dwarf. So he has become my problem child, but I want to make sure that he's right before I create him and make that final tutorial to finish the series. So in the meantime, I'm trying to work out some other stuff. And we also have the Snorks that I'm going to be starting on. I have posted a picture of All-Star Snork. So keep an eye out for that. And I'm still tweaking my Popples, but the Popples actually do have their own pocket, can be rolled up into a ball, so that's pretty cool too. So anyways, don't forget to subscribe for updates on my future videos, and I hope you like them.